From the outside, you have it all. The loving partner, the beautiful home, the shared jokes over dinner. On social media, you're the couple everyone envies. But behind closed doors, a quiet, troubling secret is unfolding. The slow, silent death of desire. You love your partner, you truly do, but the spark, that raw, physical wanting, has faded to a faint ember, or perhaps gone out completely. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. In my practice, I see countless couples, many of whom are living in what I call happy-on-paper relationships, grappling with this very hidden problem, especially for women. Amidst the chaos of life, it's a topic few dare to discuss. Let's be honest for a moment. The early days of a relationship are a glorious, intoxicating ride. Fueled by a potent cocktail of neurochemicals, that initial infatuation stage is a whirlwind of lust, longing, and passionate, wild sex. It's the can't keep your hands off each other phase. But here's the thing about that roller coaster high. It's not designed to last. It's the biological hook to get us connected. The real work and the real beauty of a relationship begins when that initial fiery lust naturally subsides. The problem isn't that the fire simmers down. The problem is what we allow to replace it. For far too many couples, what replaces it is the monotonous, exhausting rhythm of daily life. When the rigors and stresses of life begin to tax a relationship, it's easy to slip into autopilot. We become consumed by the vital priorities of working hard, paying bills, and tending to family matters. When exhaustion becomes your default state, running on autopilot feels like a survival mechanism. But when a relationship runs on autopilot, all but the absolute necessities, including deep communication, shared fun, and yes, sexual intimacy, fall by the wayside. What once was a partnership of lovers can slowly morph into a partnership of co-managers, roommates, or, in many heterosexual relationships, a dynamic that is one of the most potent passion killers I've ever witnessed. The mother-son dynamic, the unsexiest role of all. When partner becomes parent, this is, perhaps, the most insidious and common reason desire evaporates in relationships that otherwise seem perfect. It's not about screaming matches or infidelity. It's about the slow, creeping accumulation of resentment built on an uneven distribution of labor, not just physical, but mental and emotional. Countless women I've worked with express a version of the same sentiment. I feel like his mother, not his wife. They find themselves carrying the mental load, the invisible work of managing the household, remembering birthdays, scheduling appointments, knowing when the milk is running low, and planning for the future. When a woman constantly has to remind her partner to do basic chores, when she has to manage his life in addition to her own and the children's, something fundamental shifts. She begins to see him not as a capable, independent partner, but as another dependent, another child to care for. As one woman on a Reddit forum bluntly put it, it's hard to be attracted to someone you have to basically parent. You don't want to have sex with a man you've just reminded to shower or pick up his dirty socks from the floor. This isn't about being petty. It's about a deep, instinctual shift. Attraction thrives on a certain level of respect, admiration, and the perception of competence. There's an innate human instinct that makes us recoil from being intimate with those we must care for in a parental way. That instinct is there for a reason. It's usually reserved for our children or aging parents. When that dynamic seeps into a romantic partnership, desire doesn't just fade. It can feel downright repulsive. This isn't exclusive to women who are stay-at-home mothers. In fact, it's often more pronounced when both partners work. She comes home from a full day at her job only to start her second shift of cooking, cleaning, and organizing, while he relaxes because his workday is done. This isn't just about chores. It's about initiative and responsibility. The problem isn't that her partner won't help. It's that he often needs to be asked, directed, and managed. This weaponized incompetence, the act of doing a task so poorly that you're never asked to do it again, is a silent relationship killer. It forces the woman into a managerial role, a mental space that is the polar opposite of the relaxed, open state required for arousal. Resentment builds with every dish left in the sink, every task left undone until she does it, and resentment is the antithesis of desire. As one wise commenter noted, accumulated resentment is the answer. You simply cannot desire someone you resent. The body's betrayal. When biology gets in the way, while relational dynamics are a huge piece of the puzzle, we can't ignore the powerful biological forces at play. A woman's desire is intricately woven with her physical and hormonal state, which is constantly in flux. It's a complex dance, and if any of the dancers stumble, the entire performance can grind to a halt. First, let's talk hormones. Unlike men, whose sexual desire is primarily driven by the relatively stable hormone testosterone, a woman's libido is influenced by a symphony of hormones, chiefly estrogen, progesterone, and a smaller amount of testosterone. When these are in harmony, desire can feel effortless. Estrogen, for instance, peaks just before ovulation, which is why many women feel their desire surge mid-cycle. It increases blood flow to the genitals and enhances sensitivity. But when the symphony is out of tune, desire plummets. This hormonal disruption is most evident during major life stages. Pregnancy and the postpartum period are a perfect storm. Hormonal levels fluctuate wildly, and this is compounded by sheer physical exhaustion from caring for a newborn. Body image changes and the profound identity shift to mother. It's hard to feel like a sensual being when you haven't slept more than 3 consecutive hours in weeks and your primary function is to be a source of nourishment and comfort for a tiny human. Then comes perimenopause and menopause. This is a game changer. The sharp decline in estrogen can lead to a host of symptoms that directly impact sexuality. One of the most common is the genitourinary syndrome of menopause, GSM, which includes vaginal dryness, thinning tissues, and reduced elasticity. This can make sex uncomfortable or even painful. When an act is physically painful, it's only natural for the brain to stop desiring it. It becomes something to be avoided, not sought. Furthermore, testosterone levels, which play a crucial role in a woman's sex drive, also decline steadily with age, reaching a low point during menopause. Beyond these major life stages, a wide range of other physical factors can crush desire. Chronic illnesses like arthritis, diabetes, cancer, or high blood pressure can drain energy and affect sexual function. Simple, chronic sleep deprivation is a massive and often overlooked culprit. The exhaustion from caring for young children or aging parents can be relentless, leaving no energy for intimacy, and we can't forget the impact of medications. A number of common prescription drugs are known libido killers. The most notorious are a class of antidepressants called SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. While life-saving for many, they can significantly dampen sexual desire and the ability to orgasm. Other culprits include certain blood pressure medications, especially beta blockers and diuretics, and even some oral contraceptives, which can lower the body's natural testosterone levels. The mind's battlefield. Where desire is won or lost, for many women, emotional closeness is the essential prelude to physical intimacy. Desire doesn't start in the body, it starts in the mind. If her mind is a battlefield of stress, anxiety, or low self-worth, there is simply no space for desire to bloom. Stress is perhaps the most common psychological desire killer. When you're stressed, whether from work, finances, or family pressures, your body goes into a fight or flight response. It releases stress hormones like cortisol and epinephrine. In short bursts, this is a survival mechanism. But when stress becomes chronic, high levels of cortisol can suppress sex hormones and flatline your libido. Think of it this way. Your body can't differentiate between the stress of being chased by a tiger and the stress of a looming work deadline. In either scenario, procreation is the last thing on its mind. Survival is the priority. This stress also creates mental clutter, making it nearly impossible to be present and relaxed enough to get in the mood. Closely linked to stress are mental health conditions like anxiety and depression. Depression in particular is a state of anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure. It casts a gray pall over everything, and sex is no exception. A study on female patients with depression found that a staggering 71.5% experienced low sexual desire. It's not just a lack of interest. It can feel like a complete shutdown of that part of oneself. Our culture also plays a significant role through its relentless promotion of perfect bodies. This can lead to negative body image and low self-esteem, which are devastating to desire. It's incredibly difficult to feel sexy and open to intimacy when you feel your body is defective or inadequate. This can be triggered by weight gain, the physical changes of aging, or the aftermath of pregnancy. Finally, unresolved issues from the past can erect invisible walls to intimacy. Past negative sexual experiences or a history of physical or sexual abuse can create deep-seated barriers that make sexual connection feel unsafe, even in a loving and secure relationship. The great disconnect. When you stop speaking the same language, even with a healthy body and a calm mind, desire can wither if the relationship itself is struggling. Intimacy often falls prey to dysfunctional patterns of interaction. If you feel emotionally disconnected from your partner, feeling intimately connected becomes a monumental challenge. Unresolved conflicts and fights are a primary culprit. Anger and resentment are powerful emotions that are toxic to sexual desire. When hurts are left to fester, they create an emotional distance that no amount of physical touch can bridge. If there are trust issues, perhaps from a past infidelity or a pattern of dishonesty, the sense of safety required for vulnerability is shattered. A massive, yet often undiscussed, issue is poor communication about sexual needs and preferences. This leads directly to what's known as the orgasm gap. In heterosexual encounters, men are far more likely to consistently orgasm than women. If sex is consistently unsatisfying or becomes a chore focused solely on his release, her desire will naturally wane. Why would she crave an experience that leaves her feeling unfulfilled or used? Sex becomes another task she performs for someone else's benefit. Just like doing the laundry or making dinner. This brings us to a fascinating paradox, brilliantly explored by experts like Esther Perel. Love and intimacy thrive on closeness, security, and familiarity. But desire, eroticism, thrives on a bit of mystery, distance, and novelty. It thrives on seeing your partner as a separate, sovereign individual who has a life and identity of their own. When a relationship becomes so enmeshed that all mystery is gone, when your partner becomes so familiar that you see them as an extension of yourself, or, as we discussed, as your child, that erotic spark can be extinguished. The very thing that makes a relationship feel safe and secure, predictability and closeness, can inadvertently suffocate desire. Rekindling the flame. A practical guide to finding your way back if you've read this far and are feeling a sense of despair. Take a deep breath. A lack of desire does not have to be a permanent state. You don't have to accept a new normal of a sexless marriage. I've seen many couples find their way back to a cherished sexual reconnection, even after long periods of disconnection. It takes work, honesty, and a commitment from both partners, but the road back is possible. Start with a medical checkup. Before diving into the psychological and relational weeds, rule out any underlying physical causes. Talk to your doctor. It could be as simple as changing a medication, addressing a thyroid issue, or discussing hormone therapy options if you're in perimenopause or menopause. Tackle the invisible workload. This is non-negotiable. Have a frank, honest conversation about the division of labor in your home, both the physical chores and the mental load. The goal isn't to keep a perfect 50-50 scorecard, but to create a system that feels fair and balanced to both of you. Men, this means stepping up without being asked. Take initiative. Own entire domains of household responsibility, from planning meals to scheduling the kids' appointments. When your partner sees you as a true, capable partner, not a project to be managed, you will become infinitely more attractive. Become a stress detective. Actively manage the stress in your life. This isn't a luxury, it's essential maintenance. Engage in a healthy lifestyle that includes regular exercise, which is a fantastic stress reducer and libido booster. Carve out quiet time for yourself through meditation, reading, or hobbies. Seek emotional support from trusted friends or a therapist. Date your partner. Again, remember the person you fell in love with? Go find them again. Consciously break the routine. Plan dates. Flirt. Send a sexy text during the day. Reintroduce novelty and playfulness. The goal is to break out of the roommate, co-parent rut and remember that you are also lovers. Talk about sex. This can feel awkward, but it's crucial. Create a safe, comfortable environment to talk about your needs, desires, and boundaries. Make it a fun exploration, not a critical review. Try asking gentle, open-ended questions like, what's something you've always wanted to try? Or where do you love to be touched? The goal is to make sex a mutually pleasurable experience. If it has become one-sided, that has to change for desire to return. Redefine intimacy. Take the pressure off intercourse. Intimacy is a broad spectrum. It can be found in a warm embrace after a long day, a sensuous massage with no expectation of more, a passionate makeout session like you had when you were teenagers, or simply looking at your partner with warm, loving eyes and truly listening to them. Rebuilding these non-sexual forms of intimacy can create the safety and connection needed for sexual desire to re-emerge. Don't be afraid to ask for help. If you feel stuck, Seek out a relationship counselor or sex therapist. A neutral third party can provide invaluable tools and insights to help you navigate these complex issues, improve communication, and problem-solve what's going on between you. In the end, the fading of desire in a long-term relationship is rarely about a single cause. It's a complex tapestry woven from threads of biology, psychology, life stress, and the intricate dynamics between two people. A perfect relationship isn't one that's free of these challenges. A truly strong and lasting relationship is one where both partners are willing to look honestly at the frayed threads, understand why they've weakened, and consciously, lovingly, and patiently work together to weave them back into something strong, connected, and beautiful. It's not about blaming or finding fault. It's about a shared commitment to keeping the passion alive, not just through the wild highs, but through the quiet, profound work of true partnership.